Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is a 15-year-old grade 10 student. While she calls the Ottawa Valley home, she is currently living in Toronto to allow her to focus on developing her musical skills. While she has been singing and songwriting for years, she began to seriously focus on her music in 2023. Since attending her first open mic, she has ventured out, performing in many venues, headlining her own show as a solo acoustic artist. So, let's spill the tea with Peyton McNamara. Welcome, Peyton.
Hi.
Well, Peyton, it's good to have you on the show, and I'm always excited to have young artists on the show because we get an entirely different perspective about what you're going through and where you see your career is today and where you see your career is going. We talk about social media and how you're using all this great technology to promote your career. So let's start with a little bit of background, though, on you. So tell me about how you got involved with music. Who inspired you? Is it mom, dad, sisters, brothers? Who were the inspiration?
I have a family that's just really big into music, and not a lot of us are musicians, but I've grown up listening to music 24/7 and playing like music guessing games with my dad. But a person who really inspired me was my Uncle Chad, who was actually a doodle bop. And so he got to tour around North America with that, and it was, yeah, I get to watch how like a career could actually blossom and happen, and that was definitely a big inspiration for me.
You play the guitar and also the banjo. How did you get involved with those two instruments?
So, I mean, guitar was just bored at home 2020, and I wanted to like another hobby to take on. So I picked up a guitar, and then I kind of like set it down for 2 years. I didn't really get back into it until maybe 2021. But then banjo just kind of it felt like the right next step. And I was playing in bluegrass bands at the time, and I just, I love that instrument, so I picked it up next.
When I look at some of the other instruments that you play the fiddle, you also play trumpet as well. How does playing all of those different instruments help you in your songwriting?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that all these songs, like lyric wise, all of these instruments don't necessarily give me that boost, but I kind of do get a better understanding, especially through my trumpet, where I'm actually like just studying how music works. Like, I get a better understanding on how to formulate my chord progressions, how to like put that punch in a bridge, and all that stuff. So I think no matter what, doing anything musically will evolve your musical talents.
When you think about your own songwriting and you think about some of the other people that you admire as far as songwriters, what makes a great songwriter?
I think just having a good grasp on your emotions and how you can affect others, how you affect yourself, and just understanding those feelings inside of you and figuring out a way to articulate them is the best quality a songwriter can have. And same as just being able to pull inspiration out of everything. If you can find some philosophical meaning for a leaf falling off a tree, then you have a perfect song. And so I think being able to just make those connections with yourself, with the people around you, and with your surroundings, that's what makes someone a good songwriter.
What is it about music that drives your passion? Why are you so passionate about writing music and writing songs?
I think it all just gave me a really healthy way to express myself. And I think it takes off a lot of the pressure. Because I even find like with poets, like when you're writing poetry and performing it, it feels a lot personal, a lot more personal than it does when someone's performing a song. Whereas like my songs sometimes express like my deepest, darkest emotions. But people would just like clap and dance along, and that it makes it so much easier to like, say the things that I want to say without having to feel like I'm just bearing my entire soul. And I think that's what's definitely made me the most passionate about it.
So when you, as you put it, bare your soul in a song that you've written, and you write it a certain way with a certain meaning, and somebody comes up to you and says, this is what I thought about the song, and this is what it means to me, and they interpret it entirely differently than that you wrote it. How does that
Yeah.
make you feel?
You know what? I think I would just be really happy that someone's making some sort of connection with my songs. And it's, I'll write something from about my emotions and my feelings, but not everyone has felt the same thing. So it's the same thing as when I'm listening to music, I make connections to myself. And it's obviously usually not what the writer wrote, but like, I don't think in making interpretations about a song is offensive to the songwriter or anything like that. I think it just makes me really happy that people enjoy listening to my songs and they can relate to it in whatever way they want to.
Many young artists appear on the national shows like American Idol and Canadian Idol and America's Got Talent and all those talent shows that are out there. And uh, the person I spoke to just before I got on the line with you is a former Canadian Idol contestant. Is that part of your dream, is to be part of one of those kind of talent contests, to be able to go on the big stage and instantly perform in front of millions of people?
Oh my gosh, I would love that. I have sent in auditions every year to Canada's Got Talent since it started, and I
Mm.
have yet to be chosen, but I'm not gonna stop trying because I would love to do that and be able to reach all those people. That would be amazing. An insane opportunity.
How's the family support been for you, Peyton? You are a secondary school student at the moment. You've got education in front of you, potentially college and university. What's the family support like as far as your music?
They support me unconditionally throughout anything that I will ever do and ever choose to do. And it's amazing. Like my mom and my stepdad, they cart me to every single open mic that I want to go to, every single gig that I'm playing. They'll bring my equipment, they'll buy the equipment that I need, and they'll just, they'll always be the people in the front row singing every song, clapping as loudly as they can. And I can never thank them enough for the amount of support that they have granted me. And I think I'm so lucky to have the family that I do. And even, my dad, he'll come to every show that he can. Like, my family is the best family a person could ever have, and I am so grateful to have them.
Let's talk about the open mics because we did chat about that when we had our pre-interview meeting. Open mics are scary for some people. How did you get involved with the open mics?
Well, I had been playing guitar for maybe about a year and a half at this point, and my mom, she's kind of wanted me to branch out, and she's like, "Hey, there's this open mic. If you want to go to it, let's go to it." And it took a lot of thought, and I eventually decided like, maybe I'll try. And so I get up there and I was shaking like a leaf and I was just like absolutely terrified. I knew like no songs. I was trying to like do some riffs and I was just so sweaty and dropping my pick and it was a mess. But then, my confidence quickly grew and I became this little bit of like I don't know, by my second open mic, I was confident-ish and I was, getting better and I was learning more songs and I was getting more applause and I was getting the bar's attention. And then I found out that my first open mic, I had gotten the attention of the bar's owner. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I need her." So after my first open mic, I booked a gig, which was insane. And no one expected like anything to progress that far, that fast. But like, and that grew my confidence a lot. And then from that point, I just like, I knew that I owned every stage I was on. And I figured, like, you know what? I might as well be confident and not scared because even if there's a crowd that doesn't like me, I know that there was that one person, that one time that liked me enough to want to get me into their establishment. And that's what grew my confidence.
I was going to ask you about the confidence level after you had beaten yourself up so much for
Mhm.
dropping your pick and maybe not putting a stellar performance together. Most people would have crawled under a rock and given up and gone and done something else. So good for you that you persevered. Was it that bar owner coming to you and saying, "Hey, I'd like you to perform in my bar here." Was that the confidence booster that you needed, or did you already say, "I'm not giving up"?
I think that was definitely the confidence boost I needed. You know, I at that point I had never expected, like I've always dreamed of it since a little girl, but like I never expected that I would be able to do anything in the music world. And that was definitely like the, oh my gosh, I actually can. So it was a good wake-up call, and it was definitely what I needed.
Let's get into one of the songs that Peyton wrote. This song came from an encounter Peyton had with a stereotypical cowboy. Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Peyton McNamara and her song, Trains.
A steam train's rolling through town again, and the pastor's daughter's gonna lose her heart again. Rugged men step out onto the tracks. You can't see their end. My father says, darling, don't you fall for their lines, 'cause the cowboys will take your love and they'll leave you out to dry. A steam train's rolling through town again, and the weatherman's calling for outrage in a Lone Star parade. The old folks say to lock your heart away. The cowboys will never stay, they always leave with the trains. They only want a one-night rodeo. You wake to ride off into the sunset in hand, just to find that he snuck out with the rise and he left you behind. A steam train's rolling through town again, and the weatherman's calling for outrage in a Lone Star parade. The old folks say to lock your heart away, 'cause the cowboys will never stay, they always leave with the trains. The warning's out to lock your daughters up tight, 'cause the cowboys are on the hunt, and a tussle will sure arise. And no wives are safe from the southern charm, they all lose their faith, and pearl snap shirts and wedding rings fall to the floor. A steam train's rolling through town again, and the weatherman's calling for outrage in a Lone Star parade. The old folks say to lock your heart away, 'cause the cowboys will never stay, they always leave with the trains. The cowboys will never stay.
That was
they
Trains by
always
Peyton McNamara.
leave
Peyton,
with the
tell us about the song.
trains.
What's the song about, and what inspired you to write it?
Um, so I met this fella a little while ago, probably almost a year ago now. And he was just this typical, like, drinking too much, talking about jumping over fires, and he was just a little bit of a mess. And throughout this whole night, it was at some sort of event for a train place, and they were auctioning off a print of a steam train. And so, you know, I have trains on the mind, I have this crazy guy on my mind, and I was like, I wonder if I could write a song about this from someone else's perspective. And this was definitely one of my first stabs at trying to storytell. And, you know, this was definitely a song that I thought on for a little while. And then I sat down and it kind of wrote itself. I kind of started with a chord progression, then I had like these lines that I'd been formulating in my mind about trains and stuff. And it came together really fast. And then the song became some sort of like joke within my family because it was about this guy that everyone knew. And it was like all of these new stories would come up of him all the time. And it's just like, yep, I wrote a song about him. And it also became some sort of like fan favorite around like in like the bars I used to frequent because I was told it was a good song. So I started playing it everywhere I went. And it just, yeah, it became kind of my song, you know?
Peyton, how do people find out more about you and your music? What's the website? What are the socials and the streaming platforms?
I think my most active social media would be my TikTok, which is Peyton McNamara Music. And then I have a link to my website on my Instagram, which has a typo in the name, just Peyton McNamara Music. That was my fault. Oopsies. Um, yeah, almost all social media platforms I can be found on, and I do have a website somewhere.
We have been in conversation with Peyton McNamara. Peyton, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.